Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to this instalment of In Conversation with Mike Lovatt. I'm Deanne Mayhew, for those of you who don't know me, and I admin Mike's Mike Lovatt Trumpet Facebook page. And I'd like to start by just welcoming everybody who's been new to the page and all of our members. We have over 1,400 now, and it's quite amazing. So thank you for all your support. It's quite different this evening because Mike's allowed me to actually introduce this evening's conversation without him interrupting. So I'm quite grateful for that. We are in the middle of Proms season, but it's Proms not as we know it, but as it needs to be. And of course, Mike's been part of the John Wilson Orchestra Proms for the past 10 years and played at every one. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to focus this conversation on the John Wilson Orchestra and the fabulous concerts that they've done over the past 10 years. We've got some special guests to join us, which we're very excited about. We've also got some clips for you too, and some great conversation and hopefully some laughter along the way. So I hope that you will be able to sit back to enjoy this and to celebrate the fabulous John Wilson Orchestra and the musicians and performers with us. The first prom was back in 2009, and actually I think changed the face of the proms itself. That one is available on DVD, so unfortunately we haven't been able to access any clips for you. But we're going to start tonight by going back to the 2016 prom and hearing the overture from Rhapsody in Blue. So enjoy, sit back, have a drink, and let's have a good evening. Well, wasn't that just fabulous? We thought that you'd probably have enough of a little taster from that. But I think we're going to be joined by Mike in a moment, if he's going to come in, and our special guests too. So as we wait, I think that start of that was just one of the most wonderful, iconic things that I've heard, really. Mike, welcome. How are you?
Hello. How are we doing?
All right. I think,
sorry, I'm doing all this technical stuff here, so you just have to bear with me a bit tonight. But it's great to be back and doing one of these little conversations. And like you said, it's something a bit different tonight with the JWO, and it's really lovely to look back at these fabulous concerts we were all so lucky to perform, and a lot of people enjoyed listening and watching.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, would you mentioned that we've got some special guests? Would you like to reveal who they are?
Oh, should we have a countdown?
Would you like to introduce them?
Well, we've got the fabulous Ruth from the violins, who's also been with playing with the JWO since the start. Hi, Ruth. Lovely to see you.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
You've been at all the proms too, and our other guest who didn't appear in the proms until 2011. So the fabulous Matt, our singing wonder.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope we're going to have a fab night. I hope you've got your drinks ready.
Yeah, mine's not arrived yet. My drink.
Well, that's a bit bad.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to get my waiter will be along. My valet will be along with me.
Of course you will.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to start by really going back to that first prom, because I think the JWO, well, certainly Prom Croxon, your manager, have been trying for a long time to get a prom, and eventually in 2009 it happened. So
yeah.
Ruth and Mike, tell me how that felt. How was it?
Go on, Ruth.
Stage
it was absolutely incredible, and I'll tell you, this is the truth. After playing the whole concert and then obviously going for a few drinks with the band, I know you'll be shocked to hear. And then I went home with my family and we watched the entire concert from start to finish on the television, and then we weren't tired of it at all. We were just lapping it up. And I just remember that MGM Jubilee Overture and just thinking, no, it was just the most incredible thing to be part of. The sound coming from every area of the orchestra was just, quality.
Yeah. Do you know what I remember actually is right at the very start of that concert. We'd been rehearsing for about 3 days, and of course the John Wilson Orchestra was in existence for I don't know how many years completely, but a lot of years before we got to the proms. And when we were rehearsing, there was this tremendous buzz about this concert that I don't think any of us experienced before at the preparation for a concert. The buzz was electric. There were TV reporters coming into the rehearsals. There was the BBC were really excited about it. And when we got to the Albert Hall, it was like one of those moments where you pinch yourself, say, we actually here doing this. And it was like you could feel this orchestra was just waiting to go bang like that. And just we knew that it was something special that we were part of. And John walked onto the stage. And of course, as with most proms, really, the reception you get at the Albert Hall is fantastic. But when John walked on the stage, it was this great roar of people, really, to an unknown orchestra and an unknown conductor, really. And he had a little light by the side of his podium, which is green for go, because it was live. It was absolutely completely live it wasn't even delayed live, it was live. And it went out on BBC 2 television, not BBC 4. And at that point, there's silence in Albert Hall. There's 5,000 people, and I don't know how many people at home. And this little green light is waiting for it to come on. It's red. And any of the scene that started that concert, John sort of got his bat on like this, and he's looking at this thing.
Yeah.
And he's sort of a bit nervous, like we all were, waiting for it to go. Anyway, and then the green light came on, and he put his baton down like that. And this thing, it was like setting light to a bit of paper to set fire to something. It just went bang like that, and away it went. And from that moment onwards, I think the whole world, let alone the people in the Albert Hall, were just completely amazed that something like this existed. And it's obviously, it's a testament to John and his vision of that orchestra, but also to Tom Croxton, who really worked tirelessly to get that orchestra to appear at the Proms. And like you said earlier, it changed the face of the Proms, I think, for good. And generally music of that ilk, because so many other people are doing it now because of the John Wilson Orchestra and because of John Wilson himself. Yeah,
absolutely. Hello.
Guest appearance, my son Alexander. Do you remember coming to any JWA rehearsals at the Proms? No. Yes, you do. No, okay. All right. Oh, yes.
I remember you coming to JW rehearsals at the Proms, Alexander.
Yes, so do I.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't. And here we have Oliver. Do you remember coming to John Wilson?
Great, fantastic.
Hello, Oliver.
In fact, Ruth, am I right in saying that at one of the Proms, one of those boys was actually there, but they weren't there in the performance, sitting on stage?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Actually, yes. No, it would have been him.
Yes, you were pregnant with him.
2011. And then
2011.
There was another time actually when you may remember we were asked to go to Los Angeles for Seth's party. And I was pregnant at the time with Alexander, and I thought, oh no, I won't be able to go. And someone said to me, of course you can go, just take your newborn. And I took him with me. And I was walking around the airport, and people in the orchestra were going, are you bringing that with you? And so 3 months old, he went to Los Angeles.
Amazing. Yeah, not everybody gets that chance.
No.
So they're gone now. It's okay.
Ruth, how did you get involved with the John Wilson Orchestra then?
So I met John when I was at college. I was a student at the Royal College of Music, and he was, I think he'd finished his studies, but he was very much around and always at the concerts, and a big kind of presence at the RCM. And he used to put on these concerts at the Royal Garden Hotel. Mike, you used to play, didn't you?
Yeah, I did some towards the end of it.
Yeah. And I wasn't one of the ones that did it right from the start, but I just began to do some, and then things developed from there. And he had a Royal Festival Hall concert quite early on. And so basically, I've worked for John sort of pretty much from the word go. And that's how I met him.
Fabulous. And Matt, your first prom was in 2011.
Yes.
So that was the Hooray for Hollywood prom, wasn't it, I think?
It certainly was, yeah.
So how did you get involved?
I met John when I was working with the Sid Lawrence Orchestra. It's where I met Mike as well, actually. Yeah. I joined them in 2000, and around about 2003, John came to conduct some of the concerts we were doing with when we were augmented with the string section. We were celebrating the Glenn Miller Army Expeditionary Forces Orchestra. Okay. So we had a string section. John came. I don't know why he was invited, but he came to conduct just 2 or 3 numbers with the strings. And we were backstage at one of those. It was in Reading, I think, at the Hexagon. And he said, E-Man, I'll have to get you to come and sing with my band, and the next thing I know, a couple of years had passed. I hadn't done any work with him, and then I left the Sid Lawrence Orchestra in 2005, and John said, I've got a week at the Pizza Express. Do you fancy coming and singing with the big band at Pizza Express? And then after that, he sort of got me in with the Halle and the CBSO. He used to go and take Mike and Gordon and Howard and the rhythm section and sit them in the CBSO, and they'd do a big band swing kind of program, Sinatra type thing. And I was involved with that all the way through from 2006, and then waited patiently for my chance and got it in 2011.
Yeah, and it was fabulous. And you've been fabulous ever since.
Thank you.
So I'm biased. I think we're going to hear a clip, aren't we now, Mike? From
yes, I'm just going to disappear in order to prepare this clip. So you just
which one are we doing? Oh, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Who knows?
So okay, we're doing Slaughter on 10th Avenue.
Oh, are we? So that's not Matt at all then.
I was just looking at the order I had. Let's do a clip with Matt. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Matt, do you want to tell whilst to find this? Do you want to tell people about the all those lyrics you had to remember last year? Right.
Well, I got the call. Normally, how it works is John contacts me. I'll get the nod that I'm going to do the prom, and then about 3 months before the performance, I get the list of songs. So then I got to put them on a playlist and listen to them day in, day out for 3 months. And he gave me 76 trombones, which we're going to hear in a minute. But he also gave me, with 5 days notice, he gave me Get Me to the Church on Time, which was the biggest white knuckle ride I've ever been on. Because 76 trombones took me 2.5 months to learn.
Wow.
It probably averages out on these particular things. If I'm learning a tune, learning a song, I can listen to it. I don't read music, so I listen to them over and over again, and it goes in like that. And I can listen anywhere between 300 and 500 times per song before it goes in. But this one, it probably got closer to the 1,000 listens before it went in. Because it's so long. You've got the chatty bit at the start, and then you've got the when the tune kicks in and all of that. And with this kind of gig, you can't make a mistake. You can't make a mistake.
No,
you don't want to, but you literally you're not allowed.
No, exactly.
It's on the telly, So there's no second chances. So 76 trombones was a big part of my life.
And you can still remember some of the words, I think.
I tried to get my brain working the other day, and I got most of the way through it, I think. I did try it again today, and it was there still. But sometimes you do them, and then what used to happen is we'd do a prom, and then a year later we'd go to the RTE and do the same program with the RTE or someone like that.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to kind of refresh. And sometimes it's a bit longer than that. So if it's any longer than a year, it's a case of maybe relearning the whole thing again. It's a torment.
Well, I'm hoping that it's going to come up in a moment and we can hear how fabulous it was. Here it comes.
Listen, may I have your attention, please? Attention, please. I can deal with a troubled friends with a wave of my hand, this very hand.
I can deal with a troubled friends with a wave of my hand, this very hand. Please observe me if you will. I'm Professor Harold Hill, organizer River City Boys.
Oh, think, my friends, how can any pool table ever hope to compete with a gold trombone? Ra-ra, ra-da-da-da-da-ra-ra. Remember, my friends, what a handful of trumpet players did to the famous fabled walls of Jericho. Oh, billiard parlor walls come a-tumbling down. Well, a band will do it, my friends. Oh, yes, I said a boys' band. Do you hear me? I said River City gotta have a boys' band, and I mean she needs it today. Well, Professor Harold Hill's on hand. River City's gonna have a boys' band, as sure as the Lord made little green apples. And that band's gonna be in uniform. Johnny, Willie, Teddy, Fred. And you'll see the glitter of crashing cymbals, and hear the thunder of rolling drums, and the shimmer of trumpets. Ta-ta-da! And you'll feel something akin to the electric thrill I once enjoyed when Gilmore, Pat Conway, the great Creator, W.C. Handy, and John Philip Sousa all came to town on the very same historic day. 76 trombones led the big parade, with 110 cornets close at hand. They were followed by rows and rows of the finest virtuosos, the cream of every famous band. 76 trombones caught the morning sun, with 110 cornets right behind. There were more than 1,000 reeds springing up like weeds. There were horns of every shape and kind. There were copper-bottomed timpani in horse platoons, thundering, thundering all along the way. Double-belled euphoniums and big bassoons, each bassoon having its big fat say. There were 50 mounted cannon in the battery, thundering, thundering louder than before. Clarinets of every size and trumpeters who'd improvise a full octave higher than the score.
Hello, is everybody there?
Yeah, Deanne's muted.
Deanne, just to remind you, for the people at home, remember when we play music, just to mute your mic. You're muted now, and we can't hear you. I'll unmute you. I'll unmute you. Wait a minute, it's just getting across.
That was brilliant, Matt.
Matt, fantastic. It was brilliant.
There's an interesting point there. There's just before Claire. There's a bit just before the end, a couple of lines before the end. I can't remember it now. Just before trumpeters who improvise a full octave higher than the score. Just before that line, there's a flicker of light in my eyes. If you watch, of relief. Clarinets of every size, and trumpeters. We're near the end. We're near the end.
That was incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah, you certainly did.
But I also was caught on camera gazing adoringly at you. Did you notice that?
I noticed that.
Totally wrong.
Actually, for all the people that are listening and watching, there's quite a few glances go around the orchestra. If you watch really careful, you can see the people who, somebody's actually, I think, made a comment saying we always look as though we're enjoying ourselves. And that is, of course, very true. We're also absolutely giving our all to what we're doing. And that comes across, I think. But we do have sort of little glances across the orchestra. Yeah. As long as you haven't got a really difficult bit to play and you actually know what you're playing. Of course, when we prepare for a prom, the music we can get it a tiny bit before, but we actually read it quite quickly because we only get sort of like, I don't know, 9 hours worth of rehearsals before a prom like that. So when you actually get to perform it, there's always this thing I say, never turn over the page to see what's coming up. Concentrate on what's in front of you at that particular moment. Because when you turn the page over, you go, I don't remember rehearsing this. Yeah. So it's a bit like that. You get to the next bar, and it's different from Matt because he has to remember all those lyrics as well. It's like exactly. Incredible, and he hasn't got the music in front of him.
I'll tell you what, Mike, what's nice and what you can see in that, maybe people who are watching do or don't see it, but there's also, personally, I feel when I'm standing at the front, everyone is willing me to do it right and to do the best I can. And when you turn around and when John Mills is stood up playing a beautiful violin solo, everybody is willing him to do it really well and to do. I mean, he's brilliant, but everyone is right behind him, and that's the nature of the orchestra, isn't it? Everyone's like, Mike, that was great. Yeah, Gordon, that was great. And then you get the guys, when all the violas start playing together, it's like, wow, this is it's like a big team. It's like a big family.
It is. Yeah. And I think you hear somebody play something and you're just wowed by what they've just done. And so it makes you actually like try and play as well.
Yes.
You're trying to play at the top of your game,
But it's like if you play tennis against someone who's better than you, it raises your standard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we're all inspiring each other, aren't we? And as I watched that, I looked around and thought, they're all such nice, fun, interesting, talented people. They're not just good at their instruments. They're genuinely like really amazing human beings. Yeah. And I don't know whether that's just coincidence or what, but that's what makes it magic, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. It is,
and that there's no insecurity actually, because the problems that arise in orchestras are usually born of insecurity, but because everyone's just genuinely loving playing their instruments, that you don't get all those problems that you get in other situations. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No one's frightened to be first.
Yeah, no. Certainly not.
Actually, Ruth, I'm just going to go off 1 second, and I'm going to just show everybody what I think is a really nice photo here.
Oh, violins. Is it the violins? Yes.
Yeah.
Violins.
That's a lovely picture, isn't it?
Really nice.
Such amazing talent as well.
Yeah, it's an amazing bunch of people. That's all I can say. Yeah. But also, when I watch that, I absolutely cannot sit still. I can't sit still when I'm watching it, and I can't sit still when I'm playing it, and I can't understand how anyone can sit still.
I know. I have to admit, yes, I was playing different tracks this morning, and dancing around. You just can't help it, can you? It's just wonderful stuff. Such energy in it. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to go off when I show something like that, but it's fantastic that a group of violinists like that make this incredible sound. And as a trumpet player in an orchestra like that, you're working incredibly hard, but actually everybody's working incredibly hard. And I remember at the prom last year speaking to you, Ruth, after, and many of the your fellow string players, the amount of intensity that you had to play on that particular prom actually was so much that you were all completely completely exhausted at the end of that.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, how you can get we have to keep these things vibrating, but how you keep, that's the wrong hand, isn't it? It's this one. How you keep that going for like 2.5 hours.
Violinist.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually played the violin when I was very young, but it didn't like me.
No. Good job you set up the trumpet, though, Mike. Really.
Well, I think it is. Actually, I've just give a little bit of a shout out to some people that are watching here. We've got a lady called Violet Bailey, who's Matt will know Violet.
Yeah.
Vi's watching, and she's really enjoying it. And we've got Louise Carr, of course, who's a big John Wilson Orchestra fan and has followed us all around the place. She's watching. So hi to Louise. And we've also got a very special friend of mine from New York by the name of Heidi Glow. And Heidi is the daughter of the really famous New York lead trumpet player who played on so many records and so many TV shows and what have you. He was the first call lead trumpet in New York, and that's Bernie Glow. So Heidi's watching, so hi to you. And my sister, Sarah Ratcliffe, she's watching, and she says fab fiddles, Ruth.
Oh, I like that. Nice.
And Dave Tilley, who I think is a trumpet player, he said violas actually play together, ? Who knew?
Oh.
So there we are. There's a few comments. Anne's here just taking some notes of people that are making comments, and thanks for those. Keep them coming, and we'll try and give you a little bit of a shout.
Yeah.
On these. So I'm going to go off and prepare the next piece of music, which is going to be the Slaughter on 10th Avenue, and you can have a little recollection of that.
Yes. So Slaughter on 10th Avenue was from the, let me just check my notes. 2011 prom, Ruth.
Okay. So that was your first prom, Matt, is that right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it was thanks to Matt Skelton that it was actually moved to just before the end of the first half, I think, and it was an absolute triumph.
Yes.
Fabulous piece of music. And I love it particularly because I think that the two sort of bits of the orchestra just come together so well. You know, the fabulous strings, the sounds, and then you've got the build up to sort of the big brass things at the end as well, which I think is quite amazing. So, and also a long piece to play. It's something like 12, 13 minutes. So must have been quite a challenge, I think.
Yeah, another tiring one for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, we'll talk about some more tiring ones in a minute, I think. But
what I think John does really well is he knows how to pace things so that you've always got something left in the tank for the really big final.
Yeah,
because that's what's so easy to misjudge in a way, especially when we're all getting overexcited.
Yes.
Thank goodness we had an interval afterwards, I think.
I think you're all ready for a glass of lemonade at that point.
Smelling salts, yes.
God, I miss that.
Wonderful.
Was all right, wasn't it?
I think that's absolutely fabulous. It really was. Yeah, and you know, one piece that I play over and over again because it just absolutely lifts the spirits every time for me. So
I'm just wiping the tears away from my eyes.
Oh, sounded amazing, Mike.
Oh, thank you.
Don't you think the sound of that applause is so incredible? And that's what we don't have at the moment, and it's so sad, isn't it? And the idea of proms with no audiences, it's just it's all wrong, isn't it?
Just.
I mean, of course, it's better that they're doing something rather than nothing. But, you know, the one thing I've realized recently is us musicians, we completely feed off the sound of applause, and we feed off being able to see people's faces in the audience.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. I'm so lucky that I sit right on the edge of the orchestra and I can see the people right in the arena who are just grinning from ear to ear, bopping along, having the time of their lives. And it makes our job all the more fulfilling, being able to see that. If you don't have that in front of you, it's just not the same.
No. And Mike, you were saying about, you know, doing stuff online and, you know, doing stuff virtually, but actually it's not the same as playing with
no, it's not.
With people, with your fellow musicians.
I've been doing a few concerts from home. There's a lady who lives in our village who came up with this idea of asking her friends if they'd like a little private concert on Zoom. So both myself and Anne have done these concerts. You know, Zoom, the sound quality is not great, but we managed to get some tracks together and we did some duets and we did some solo stuff. And we actually had like 30 people up on the screen. So when we'd finished playing, they're muted, but you can see them doing this. And it's just really nice to see that. It's weird, but it's really nice to see that they're appreciating what we're doing, even though we sort of sat in our music room at home. So just going back to that clip, that there are some really fantastic musicians. We've already talked about, you know, how everybody there isn't, you know, an orchestra or a band is only as good as its worst player. And that's why the John Wilson Orchestra is so good, because there isn't a worst player. Everybody's giving their all. But there are some key people in the orchestra, in my mind. And of course, in the brass section, the magnificent Gordon Campbell on trombone. Who, he's been there from the beginning. And, you know, he's probably, in my eyes, there's only one Gordon Campbell, and there's nobody to touch him in the world at what he does. And he has this amazing ability to sort of draw everyone together in the brass section. You know, it's easy for me. I'm just sat on the top of it all. But he's got this middle bit that sort of just, apart from his solos, but he actually just pulls it all, and it gives it the core. It gives the brass section like a core of sound. So the shout out for Gordon there, and also, of course, my colleagues in the trumpet section who, you know, I'm in the hot seat, so people get to hear me play all the solos, but they could all sit where I sit. You know, it's not like one of us is better or whatever to the other, but they're all guys that give their all, and they make me feel comfortable. You know, it'd be terrible if I was sat there and the guys either side of me are thinking, "Oh, I wish I was sat there instead of him." You know, which you can get, but with those guys, they're trying to, you know, I sound rubbish on my own, and so it's great to have those guys either side of me. So Andy Gathercole, who always sits on the end, and people go, what's that guy do that sits to your right? You know, he's half the time he's not playing. Well, what happens is, actually, and I'll tell this so people get this once and for all, he plays fourth trumpet, and not all the arrangements have 4 trumpet parts. Some only have 3. So in that instance, he bumps me. So a bumper is somebody that helps out, because otherwise it's never off your face. So it gives me a lift. So I get a bit of blood back to my chops. And Andy normally plays the bits that aren't necessarily, you know, right up there and obvious that, oh, this is a big trumpet moment. So Andy will play those bits. And of course, the camera's never on him. So when he's playing, the camera's not on him. But of course, when I'm playing, the camera's on me. But Andy's sat there like this. So I just want to put the record straight. He works extremely hard, and I could not do any of those. I've done any of those gigs without him next to me. Also next to me on some of those earlier proms was the magnificent Pat White on trumpet, and of course Jim Lynch. And Jim's been there from the beginning. And then in the later proms, which you'll see some other clips, we've got Russ Bennett, who's a magnificent trumpet player. Again, all rounders. All these guys play jazz, they play classical, they do the whole thing. And that's what you have to play in an orchestra like that. You can't be a classical player and just do that. You can't be a jazz player and just do that, or a big band player. You've got to have all these styles within you, you know, and bring it together.
I think that's the difficulty sometimes, Mike, because you're known as the sort of the big band sound now, aren't you? Rather than the breadth of your experience. So
Matt, what's it like? You know, I mean, the proms that you've done, you've had a few people that you've sung with on several occasions, but on some you might have only sung with that person just the once. I mean, I remember some fantastic bits. I think that was in the 2011 prom where you sang with Claire Teal, and I thought some of those things were fabulous, because I mean, I'm a massive Claire Teal fan anyway. But what was it like working with the different singers?
It's interesting working with different singers. I mean, Claire, as you know, I've worked with Claire a lot since, and Claire's super cool. She's super cool. So if I'm singing opposite someone, I'm singing to someone, I'm looking at their face. Now, if their face is showing me signs of unease, it can make me uneasy. And Claire's the opposite to that. She's absolutely rock solid. So I look into her eyes and I know that she knows the words. So she's not going to stitch me up and I'm not going to stitch her up. So we can then get on with doing our jobs properly. You know, and Anna Jane is another level up from that. Anna Jane is super rock solid. I know if I make a mistake, she'll cover. Yeah. And she feels the same about me. So it's an interesting relationship. You know, some singers you look into their eyes and you don't get anything. I mean, Lou Dearman is another case in point. She's absolutely rock solid every single time. And you know, even if she makes a mistake, she will rectify that mistake by herself, because she's got so much experience and so much ability. She's able to just sort it out and carry on, instead of doing the I've made a mistake face and letting everybody know. It can be a tough thing, you know, if you've not got any connection. But I'm fortunate in that I've been lucky to work with singers that I can connect to.
Well, you and Louise have an amazing connection. I always think of Gotta Have Me, Go With You. You know, where she's in between you and I can't remember who the other person was, but I just remember that as being a massive highlight. It was such fun. And you've got chemistry, I mean, you know, in the best possible way. Yeah. Well, we've worked together for a long time, you know. I first met Louise when I was working with a function band in 2006, and she came to do a couple of functions. So, I mean, you want to hear her sing rock and pop and stuff. She's amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah. So there's automatically that respect level there. You know, I think she's incredible. And then our voices seem to fit as well, which is a nice thing.
Actually, Matt, whilst you're talking about Louise, I've got another clip here. Dan, do you want to tell people what it is?
Yeah, so we've got a clip from the 2016 prom, which was the Gershwin prom. And the clip we're going to hear is "Treat Me Rough," which is a fabulous song as well. So I think we're going to hear that just in a minute.
Oh, Mike is such a show off.
What an ending, wasn't it? What an ending.
What a show off.
Talking of female singers that I've worked with, Annalene Beachy, who I was in the first my first prom with, 2011, she knitted that dicky bow that I was wearing.
Did she?
Oh,
It's hand knitted, that dicky bow.
That's me and Gordon.
I love another picture here, look.
You know, if you watch that track again and watch the string players really closely, you know when the brass players do that growl thing and they go rawr, and then they go rawr, rawr, all the string players are going like this. You'll notice it now. We're all going rawr, rawr.
Ruth, I did hear what you were saying, by the way, when I was just trying to sort that technical stuff out about me being a show-off. Yeah, of course I am. I'm a trumpet player.
Take one show on, eh?
But just watching and listening to that, you know, I've already mentioned some of the personnel, but of course we have to mention the wonderful Matt Skelton, who, and that's a real fantastic example of how his musicality and his time and his swing and everything about his playing really just draws everything together. Is, you know, incredible. Yeah. There's no one that plays the drums like Matt. You know?
And what about Howard? Howard was a bit of a star in that as well.
Yes, and there's a nice link actually, because we've just had a message through from a chap called Gary Bavona, who's over in the west coast of America, and Gary is a trumpet player, and he is the son of Gus Bavona, who was, of course, the wonderful lead alto player with the MGM Studio Symphony Orchestra. So what a lovely connection there. And Howard McGill, of course, fills that seat in the most wonderful way. Yeah. You know, along with the rest of the saxes, and you know, I'll name them all: Colin Skinner, Jay Craig, Luke Annesley, and Mark Crooks. You know, all multi-talented guys. You know, so
yeah,
great.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I was going to share my claim to fame and my story about Louise Dearman, but I won't now because we seem to have moved on from a bit.
No, we want to hear it. We want to hear it. I hope Louise is listening. Come on, Deanne.
So my claim to fame was that after the Grange Festival last year, where we saw you all fabulously playing, I managed to get, some of us have managed to get ourselves invited to the free champagne reception afterwards. And I was chatting to a lovely lady outside about, you know, the orchestra and everything. And her husband came up to me and was saying, "Oh, how lovely to meet you." He said, "I thought you were fabulous tonight." I was like, "Oh, thanks very much." His wife went, "That's not Louise Dearman."
I bet you were well.
It was hilarious, but there we are. It was my claim to fame, so there we are.
The advantage, one of the advantages we had on that particular prom was that the year before we toured most of that show.
Yeah. That's great, Matt.
It gave us certainly the singers. It gave us so much confidence to not have to learn the stuff for a one-off performance. We knew it. Yeah. It had bedded in, you know, all the ons and offs and all the little looks, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So that it was a pleasure to do that prom.
Yeah,
I can't say that about all of them, but it was a pleasure to do that prom because it was such a relaxed thing
you're dead
for the
right,
singers
Matt.
to do.
Yeah, that's spot on. You know, I remember because we did, I think we finished with like American in Paris from the film, the ballet version from the film of the same name. And I remember when we were rehearsing that, we played it every night for 2 or 3 weeks on a tour, like you say. So yeah, we were revisiting it, and then you start to find even more bits which you can just relax into, you know, because you know the music, so you start to get even more into it, you know. Which is really, really fabulous. So
Matt, do you have a glass cabinet with all your tour passes?
No, I've only found 2. I've found the 2015.
Okay.
And then I found that 2016.
I reckon he's got a glass cabinet, don't you?
2016. I might have the 2017 in here somewhere. I'll try and dig it out.
No doubt.
In your JWO memorabilia box.
In my happy box.
Yeah.
I've still got my key ring that Jeremy Corns arranged for everybody. Do you remember that, Mike? Everybody got a Merry Christmas JWO key ring.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
I've still got mine. He's gone. Just as I need him, he's gone.
I'm sure, I mean, you know, some fabulous memories and you know what, so let's have some stories about your favorite proms and also the worst proms.
Who are you asking?
Both. Well, oh no, look.
Right, we're going to have a quiz. Who can guess who that is?
Well, anyone who's watched our conversations before will know it's Mike, because he talked about it, but we didn't have the picture, sadly.
Well, I provided that picture. I'm delighted to have been of service.
Thank you, Ruth.
It's good fun playing with this. It's good fun playing with this. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, we can tell. Ruth, best moments.
Okay.
Worst moments.
Oh, there are so many. Can I have lots?
Yeah.
So, well, I think from the point of view of just showing off the violins, I think when we played I Got Rhythm, and we all stood up and did that mentally, you know, virtuosic bit, and you could hear the kind of intake of breath, and then, you know, there was a sort of eruption of applause even though the piece hadn't finished, and that's one of those moments you think, yes. It was really difficult, and it was really difficult to play it standing up because you couldn't really see the music properly. You couldn't get your sound high enough. And you just had to just totally go for it, and that was amazing. I always remember the trolley song with Kim Criswell, and the reason partly I remember that because if you re-watch the recording, that whoever was introducing it, they're chatting away, these two presenters. Do you remember this? And then one of them goes, "It's the trolley song," like basically, shut up. So I remember that as being a highlight. And then I think for me, the finest moment, which surely someone else was planning to talk about, was when Anna Jane Casey did that incredible tap dancing thing. Travels away. And just as it starts, and there's this unbelievable, you know, looks like Broadway, all these tap dancers. This couple are rushing off to try and catch their train. Do you remember that?
They're going to miss the last bus.
And they're basically getting flattened by all these tap dancers. It's the last train to Hertford.
Ruth, you had your back to them at the time and everyone was laughing. So did you know what was going on? You probably didn't know what was going on.
I didn't know what was going on, but I enjoyed watching it later. I just found that whole tap dancing experience. I mean, there was a part of me that just wanted to, I don't know, be Buddhist and then be reborn as a tap dancer and not to be a violinist anymore, and just had this complete fantasy about an alternative career.
Should we just relive that moment?
Yeah. Such a great piece. It really is. It's one of the best sort of final pieces, I think, if only for the couple.
Tap your troubles away. You bounced a big check. Your mom has the vapors. Tap your troubles away. Your car had a wreck. There's certain papers when you're the one that it always rains on. Simply try putting your Mary Janes on. Your boss just gave you the axe. There's years of back tax. You still can't pay. With a sky full of crap, always lands in your lap. Make a curtsy and tap your troubles away. your brother gets locked up. Tap your troubles away. You're fat as a horse, and find that you're knocked up. When you need something to turn your mind off, why not try tapping your poor behind off? The boat goes over the falls, the plane you're on stalls, the pilot yells pray. If your parachute strap is beginning to snap, smile a big smile and tap, tap, tap your troubles away.
Here we go again.
I can hear it on again. I don't mind. She is so fantastic, isn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was dancing along then.
Yeah, I think we all were actually.
I particularly like the bit where the girl, the poor girl that slipped next to AJ at the front.
Oh,
She slipped at one bit. And also, you know, I feared for the bottoms of some of those dancers when the violins were sort of going like this. They're about that far away from the backside.
May I tell you, it was quite hard to concentrate on playing the notes with bottoms that close to us.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
Do you know, it was that prom where I learned so much because I wasn't in it. But having done the 2011 one and been utterly petrified every second I was on the stage, I watched that prom on the TV, and AJ came out for her first number, and she just owned the place, and she just walked down the stairs. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember which number it was, but she came walking down, and she got a bit of lib before the song, and she just owned the whole thing, and I thought, that's how I want to look. I don't care whether I feel really nervous inside, but that is how I want to look. And I've tried to emulate that ever since. I learned so much from just watching AJ. It was a masterclass watching her perform.
Actually, I'm really pleased to say that during lockdown, my daughter, who is currently doing a diploma in dance at West Arts College, she came down the stairs and announced that she wanted to try and get into musical theatre and wants to go and study musical theatre at one of the theatre schools next year. And so she can sing, my daughter, but she's never done it really, and she's never had a lesson. And I was thinking, who would be really great for my daughter to sort of inspire? And I immediately thought of AJ. And so I'm really happy and pleased to say that she's been giving my daughter lessons, and that hopefully that's going to carry on for quite a while. And Emma, of course, thinks she's absolutely fantastic, and I said, yeah, she's fantastic, and she's she's completely nuts as well and brilliant. But yeah, I mean, one prom that I remember with AJ, Matt, similar to what you were just saying, was actually, I can't remember which prom it was, but she sang "Don't Rain on My Parade," which of course you hear lots of people sing that song. Mm-hmm. The concert at that point, I think, had been quite serious and subdued up to that very moment. And she walked on the stage, and anybody that have a look at that clip of "Don't Rain on My Parade" with AJ singing, because at the end of that, her face and everything, that she says it all, and the audience goes ballistic. Yeah. It's a fabulous moment, that is. So anybody, check it out, you know.
Yeah.
There are so many fabulous moments, aren't there? And I know we absolutely can't play them all now. But you know how you were asking me, can I just really quickly tell you the rest of my list? Even though I know we can't play them all at all. But do you remember when Scarlett Strallen sang "Glitter and Be Gay"? That was cool. That was really fun. Yeah, she was great.
She started pulling something out of it. Oh, there were beads, weren't they? Yeah.
They were.
And then another of my favourite moments was Tom and Jerry, when the percussionists start smashing plates. And they actually, one of them cut their hand and had blood.
Really?
Yeah. 76 trombones we've already done. We've mentioned MGM Jubilee Overture. I mean, that for me was still one of the best things the orchestra ever played, even though it was the first ever thing we played. And then, do you remember when Sierra Boggess sang "I Have Confidence in Me"? I just remember that being a moment of that exactly what you've just been talking about, Matt. We all have to just totally believe we can do it. And if we don't have that, we don't stand a chance. And I just remember listening to her singing that and thinking, yeah, we've all got to have confidence in ourselves. Yeah. Otherwise, what on earth are we doing? Yeah, putting ourselves up there on the stage. And then Curtis Steiger's "Heather on the Hill." That's quite a long time ago, but I remember that being special. Seth MacFarlane, "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?" I remember that fondly. And then I already mentioned "Gotta Have Me Go With You," which was Louise and Matt's and some other guy who's going to be really annoyed that I can't remember who.
Patrick Smythe.
What's he called?
Patrick Smythe.
There we go. Patrick, you were cheers. So that's my list of highlights.
Yeah, well, I think, Matt, what have you got?
Yeah.
Highlights. I think I really liked "Get Me to the Church on Time," simply because it was a triumph over potential disaster, not given enough time to learn it. Everybody knows "Get Me to the Church on Time," but it was the routine of the thing, and it pops in and out, and the vocals in and out, and then you wait 60 bars, and then you come back in again, and then there's another bit of thing, but it was a chance to almost get into a character. And I don't normally have that chance. So that alongside 76 trombones are a real highlight, because like I've said just now, I now have the confidence to try these things, whereas before I wouldn't have had the confidence. So when you've got the confidence to try it and put the work in, and then it happens, and it's something I'm proud of, then that means everything, And another highlight is when you're able to stand on the Albert Hall stage with this magnificent orchestra behind you, and sing, and because I can't hear myself when I sing in the Albert Hall. Cannot hear a thing. It's like singing in outer space. Okay. But when I'm singing a ballad, when I'm singing "If Ever I Would Leave You," I can hear it, and I can hear my voice soaring through this incredible building, which is acoustically awful, but I can hear my voice soaring through this building. And the spotlight is sort of like this, and that's a special moment, because I've been working 30 years to get to that point, and I've got to that point, and I deserve to be at that point because I've put a lot of hard work in, and then here it is. Take the opportunity and deliver, and that was special, because you're standing there. It's almost like Michael and Ruth will know this. It's almost like you're looking down on yourself when you get into that point, and you've prepared so much, and you know it inside and out, and this is the moment now. Deliver now, right now, and to be able to deliver that in that setting with those guys behind, it's otherworldly. It's amazing.
That's a really good point, Matt. I always think when I was doing those concerts that my preparation for a concert like that, like any of those really, was actually started when I was about 10 years old. And it probably even started before that, because you start to soak up music and you listen to music, even if you haven't started singing or playing at that point. And that's what forms your later years as a player or a singer. And you hear that sound that you want to try and get or try and emulate, or you take a bit of that and you take a bit of that. And there you are, like you say, at the Albert Hall, performing in front of all those people, and people are loving it. What could be better than that?
And because you're not 18 years old or 20 years old, because I'm 35 and I've had all that experience. None of you are laughing. That's great.
I've got a bit of a tear actually in pity.
Because you've had that life experience, and you've had ups and downs, and you've had love and loss and all that kind of stuff. You can pour all that into your playing or into your singing, and when you lay yourself bare then in front of the audience, and then when you get a reaction, a good reaction, then there's nothing like it. It's incredible.
Yeah. I think my favourite moment really was Ruth's already mentioned it, of course, and it's had something like, I don't know, 20 million views on YouTube, is of course the Tom and Jerry sequence, which I think I'd probably like to give that a whirl. Is that all right, Deanne?
It's all right. I'm conscious of the time because we knew this would happen, didn't we? And there's a couple of pieces I really want us to get in, but
okay. Well, let's play a bit of it. And Ruth already mentioned the fact that Dave Jackson, who's the most wonderful percussion player, was one of the guys, along with Steve Henderson, who had the job of doing all these sound effects, which of course would normally be done in the studio, but to do it live like that and to get the right sounds and to get the right equipment to do it with. And of course we had to rehearse it quite a bit because it was difficult to play and it's difficult to get all that timing correct. And so the dustbin, which they went down to the local B&Q and they bought a dustbin, and they got all these plates that were from some kind of Greek restaurant or something, and they were in the dustbin obviously, and so in rehearsals they'd already started picking the plates out and smashing them in there. So when it actually came to the gig, instead of them being whole plates in there, they were like shards of plate. So they put his hand in like that to pick up a piece of plate, and then he went like that, and he had to do it really fast because of getting the timing right, and it cut into his hand. So that was an incredible moment.
The things we do for our art.
Indeed.
I also think a fantastic moment for me as well was doing the prom last year, and actually going from Matt singing "If Ever I Would Leave You," going into a swinger, Sinatra swinger, which was like literally from one thing to another, and the orchestra was just splendid in both of those numbers. It was just, I wasn't playing in "If Ever I Would Leave You." I just had the joy of listening to this amazing sound that was coming out of everybody, and Matt, just singing his heart out at the front. And then the next minute he's swinging away, and the orchestra again just going from one style to another, just like that, like those American orchestras did back in the 50s and the 60s, So that was a real moment. And then followed after that, I think, by that amazing bit of Corn Gold, where at the very end of the concert, the Albert Hall organ joined us. And I mean, I've got shivers down my back now just thinking about that. But that was a tremendous finale to a concert, and a finale to 10 years of the John Wilson Orchestra at the BBC Proms, So that's quite an emotional one for me, that one. So I think we'll just play a bit of the Tom and Jerry. So I'll just disappear and I'll get that together whilst okay.
So Ruth, I'd read that the orchestra had been asking John Wilson to play this for ages. I mean, it's a really quick challenging a piece. So how did it come about? Was that the way it happened?
Yeah, I remember it being, tricky but fun to put together.
Yeah, sure.
You'll see there are lots of sort of solo string parts. There's lots of kind of smaller stuff and then bigger stuff. Well, of course, Tom and Jerry. But I think it worked really well. And I think, as Mike mentioned, I think it's probably one of the most watched YouTube clips that we have of the orchestra.
Yeah.
I think it's such a shame that we can't access the stuff from the original prom. So that's a real shame.
I know, it is.
Yeah, anyway. But I do remember that fondly, that Tom and Jerry.
Here we go.
Oh, so good.
Isn't that fabulous?
It's incredible.
I think.
I love it when Dave does the bubble wrap and he can't.
Yeah.
Oh God. Sorry. I haven't brought everybody back in yet. Sorry.
Well, don't worry. No one can possibly still be watching, can they?
No, probably not.
They've all gone to sleep.
They've all gone to get another drink.
They all left half an hour ago.
I think, I mean, surely that must be the only time at the Proms ever, or possibly at the Royal Albert Hall, that the dustbin's been played, surely. I mean,
did you notice it was actually the final plate, and you see him sort of holding his finger at that point? Whilst I was watching and listening to that, there are a few people that we haven't name checked, which we should do. And of course, the most incredible xylophone playing by the wonderful Sam Walton, who's principal percussion of the London Symphony Orchestra. And, you know, those notes, every single one of those is written. And anybody that's tried to play the glockenspiel or something at school with like about 8 bars on there, look at all those keys that he had to hit and get in the right place. Absolutely incredible. And it was perfect. Also, Andy Wood on trombone. We haven't mentioned him yet. Andy's been a long-standing member of the John Wilson Orchestra and another phenomenal trombone player. And also, we should also mention all the fabulous leaders that the John Wilson Orchestra has had. And of course, you know, maybe I'm slightly biased, but my favourite violinist of all time, I think, is Andrew Havron, who now lives in Australia. But
I'm leaving. How very dare you?
How very dare! Apart from Ruth, of course.
How very
and my wife.
Dare you? Yeah. What about Anne? She's leaving. Wow.
He actually did a thing for the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, which is on YouTube currently, and it's a piece. And I listened to it because I really liked it. It's Tim Stevenson, 4 Elegies for Solo Violin. Do you know this piece, Ruth?
No.
There's a magnificent clip of Andrew playing it for anybody that's interested. So Andrew, and of course John Mills, who's been playing lead violin for the last don't know how many years, and another fabulous violinist, and the one appearance as leader of the John Wilson Orchestra at the Proms was Warren Zielinski. So I just thought I'd mention them. But of course, I was only joking when I said Andrew Havron was my favourite.
I'm only joking.
In the John Wilson Orchestra, my favourite violinist was Ruth, of course.
But, no, stop it. The damage is done. But Andrew's sound is completely unique. And I think it's you know, it's the closest sound in modern times that we have to Heifetz, I think. And he's a genius. I completely agree. When you said about the leaders, I was thinking, you know, that almost the entire first violin section are made up of leaders. That's
what I was thinking.
They're all incredible.
And I loved one of the clips shows Paul Barrett, leader of the Halle, sitting next to his daughter Francesca, which I love, and then, you know, there's Bradley Kresik from Northern Symphonia, and there's Thelma from Liverpool, and I mean, there's just so many leaders. It's ridiculous. And that's what I mean about there's no sort of problems about insecurity. Everybody's just playing their socks off.
Yeah.
Nobody's worrying about what anybody else thinks. They're just, you know.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, I'm really conscious of the time. We knew this was I could sit here and talk to you for hours and hours. I really could. But I suppose we better draw it to a close in a minute, because I think, you know, everybody will be going to sleep or something soon. I just wanted to, I think there's one more clip we should play, Mike, in a minute.
Yes, okay.
But I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. So Ruth, what are you up to at the moment? What's what's going on for you? Well,
actually, amazingly, work is now coming back. And September, I know, amazingly, September's looking good. A lot of it is in the studio, which, you know, it's kind of inevitable that's the first part of the music industry that's going to recover. But I have got a few concerts with sort of small, socially distanced audiences, and then also streamed. So yeah, this is an exciting time. It feels like coming back to a bit of normality. It has been. It's been an amazing time with my children. I've had, incredible quality time with them, and I did all the homeschooling stuff. So I feel like I was existing in a slightly parallel universe to the one I normally inhabit. But I think everyone feels like that during this pandemic, don't they? Yeah. And there are things that I think I've learned from the last 6 months that will always stay with me. And I might try never to be quite as busy as I was before, because actually, going for a bike ride with my kids on Wimbledon Common, that should be happening regularly anyway. We've got pandemic or no pandemic. So I'm looking forward to trying to get a really good work-life balance and be a good mum, but I can't not play the violin. That's the other thing I know. I can't not do it. It's such a huge part of who I am. It's part of who I am as a mother as well. So there's no question that I'm not going to play the violin anymore, but I'm going to try not to get quite as crazy busy as I was pre-COVID.
Yeah. I mean, it's been an incredible time for everybody, hasn't it, in different ways, and we've all learned different things.
Yeah.
Matt, you've been busy streaming, I think.
Yeah, I've not stopped really.
Streaming.
From the start of lockdown, just after the start of lockdown, I got a job at Lidl supermarket, and I worked there for 10 weeks. That was a temporary contract. And I left there and joined Leicestershire County Council, and I've been trimming grass and cutting hedges and things like that. And I left them last week. And in 2 weeks' time, I start work at a COVID testing site in Rugby. And that'll be my next employment until, who knows, till next year maybe.
Can you
there's no sign of
they have their tests?
Sorry, say that again.
Can you sing to everybody as they have their tests?
People said that to me when I started at Lidl. They said, "Oh, you sing to the customers. You're actually at work, and it's really hard.
It'll be the new vaccine.
There's no energy to sing to customers."
But you've been doing some online stuff as well, haven't you? Have you got a concert? Is it tomorrow?
No, we did a couple of online things. It's been an interesting time for online concerts. We did a live stream with a quartet, and that was really successful. Right. Then we did a live stream with a big band, and instead of selling tickets, we asked for donations, and there were so few donations, it will never happen again.
Okay.
It's one of those things where people see stuff on the TV and it's always free, and then you ask them to donate some money for it. And 11,000 people watched it, and if they'd have all given £1, it would have been great. But they gave less than 8 pence each.
Oh my God! Terrible.
So it can't happen. It won't happen again. That's it.
I think this is one of the huge problems of all this stuff being available on YouTube, isn't it? Because
that's right. Yeah,
it's all free, and so
and so many people are doing things free. So many people are giving away their talents for nothing, and it makes their talent worthless by doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all love what we do. We love what we do, but you can't pay your mortgage with love.
Have you seen the petition, the seat out to help out rather than eat out to help out? Have you heard about this?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good idea. Yeah,
brilliant idea. I mean, if the restaurants got the government's help, why shouldn't the theatres and the concert halls? If they subsidise for the empty seats, then life will go on for the arts, and it has to go on for the arts. Everybody needs it to go on, not just us. I mean, people that go to concerts, they need it for their general health and well-being.
Yeah.
I think
everybody out there, if you can, get behind it.
Definitely. Maybe we could post a link, Mike, on the on your Trumpet page.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, we know what you're doing. Bits of recording and things, aren't you, Mike?
Bits of recording in the studios, like Ruth was saying. It's very strange, though. Because there's this sort of opinion that brass instruments like singing is bad for spraying aerosols, but of course that's not what happens. You try playing the loudest note you can. That note at the end of Treat Me Rough, if I stuck a candle in front of the bell when I was playing that, I mean, I might have knocked it because I moved my bell up in the air like that, but the candle would not have even flickered.
No.
You know?
Because it's not air, is it? It's sound waves.
Yeah, it's all dispersed inside the trumpet, you know. So we're in the studios and there's like guys 2 meters apart either side of me. And, you know, the thing was doing like yesterday, there's a guy down that end and a guy down that end, and they've got to play something together.
Yeah.
But they can't hear each other. And then I did a session for Britain's Got Talent, anybody that's into that. And we were at Abbey Road Studios, and we had screens there as well. Not only were we 2 meters apart, we had screens either side, round the back, and over the top as well.
Wow.
So it was like sitting in a bus shelter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you used to it.
Without the cider, though.
Yeah. But no, and without the smell of something else you normally get in a bus shelter. But you know, gig wise, there's nothing at the moment on the horizon for me at all. I've even had a gig cancelled in January, you know. So
nothing for next year.
Next year, you know, there are a few things in. Whether they'll happen or not, you know, is another thing. But just before we go, I'd just like to give a shout out to somebody who's a friend of the John Wilson Orchestra and also a friend of Matt's and Ruth's, and that is a guy who's an inspiration to everybody that meets him, and that's Paul Mace.
Oh yeah.
And Paul's watching, so hi to you,
Hi,
Paul.
Hi, Paul.
He just asked me if he wanted a cup of tea because he'd run out of vodka. Yeah, so he's been watching tonight. So and his family, his wonderful family as well. I've got a lovely mask actually, which I'm sporting, not tonight, but
yeah,
it's got musical instruments on it, and Paul sent me that. So
I think one of the many amazing things about the John Wilson Orchestra is the friends that we make through the audio.
Oh yeah.
And I've got a great friend up in Newcastle that I met purely through the orchestra, and he's like a grandfather to my children. He sends them presents every Christmas, every birthday, and he's like a part of our family. And we simply met him through playing concerts at the Sage, and you just think there's something kind of remarkable about that. Same with Paul; he's become a friend to so many of us, and it's really special.
It is indeed.
And
that's how we met you, Deanne, isn't it?
Well, I know I've made loads of great friends, so a shout out to all the John Wilson Orchestra ladies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hello.
I know they're all watching because they keep messaging me. But, you know, so many people that I've met through it, and of course, you know, if it wasn't for that, Mike, we would never have met, would we? And
no, that's right. That's absolutely right. I'm just going to go off because I just want to show a few photographs, and then we'll maybe play our final.
You know, we could be here all night, really. I mean, we could just chat all night. Everyone else can go, can't they? And we could just chat away. It'd be good fun. I'm wondering what photos. Oh, trumpet. Yeah.
You love those trumpet players. I have to
So do I. Yeah.
Top blokes. This computer's making interesting noises now. Oh.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
It's like when I was a child and we used to have a slideshow of my dad's photos.
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't nearly finished yet.
I know.
I've got a lot more, but we'll have to do that another time. I'll do a slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's say it's like when I was a kid.
We got some wonderful photographs and some wonderful memories, and we're all very lucky to have been involved in such an incredible outfit as the John Wilson Orchestra. So I'd like to thank Ruth and Matt for coming along tonight, and well, you haven't come along anywhere. You're at home, aren't you? But, for joining us, because not only are you both amazing musicians and brilliant artists, but you're great friends as well. So thanks.
Oh, thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure, yeah.
Nice to see you all.
I mean, it's been fabulous. Thank you so much, and I'm sure that I know everyone's going to be really enjoying it. We knew it would go on longer than an hour, didn't we? I think, Mike, the last piece we should have is from last year's prom, because we don't want to say goodbye, really. So, If Ever I Would Leave You is probably appropriate, I think.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't have that ready, actually, but
How could you?
I can get it. Just keep talking for 1 second.
Yeah, okay.
I'm curious what he was going to play.
I think it was going to be from the 2011 prom, which was the
Put on your Sunday
Hello,
clothes.
Dolly piece.
Yes, it was going to be that. That's what I had ready, but it doesn't matter.
It needs to be Matt, I think.
I do love 76 trombones. I'm glad you played that one.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
There's so many things we could just, so many pieces that are so fabulous. We can't squeeze them all in, unfortunately, but it's been a fabulous night.
Right, it is coming up. I'm working as hard as I can.
You've done quite well this time, Mike, because, we do sort of have issues with our technology sometimes, don't we?
I'm a trumpet player, not a flipping BBC video editor. Right, I've got it. Okay. I've got it. So I'm going to have to go to get this up there. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody.
Well, should we all say goodbye?
Yeah, we should all say goodbye. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you all so much.
And thanks to Deanne for hosting it all.
Well done, Deanne. Thank you.
Right. It's okay.
Bye-bye.
Soon, I hope. Take care, everybody. Yeah, take care. Here we go.
Another Lerner and Lowe stage musical takes to the screen next. Camelot.
If ever I would leave you, it wouldn't be in summer. Seeing you in summer, I never would go. Your hair streaked with sunlight, your lips red as flame, your face with a luster that puts gold to shame. But if I'd ever leave you, it couldn't be in autumn. How I'd leave in autumn, I never would know. I've seen how you sparkle when fall nips the air. I know you in autumn, and I must be there. And could I leave you running merrily through the snow, or on a wintry evening when you catch the fire's glow? If ever I would leave you, how could it be in springtime, knowing how in spring I'm bewitched by you so? Oh no, not in springtime, summer, winter, or fall. No, never could I leave you. I would leave you. How could it be in springtime, knowing how in spring I'm bewitched by you so? No, not in springtime, summer, winter, or fall. No, never could I leave you.
Singing from Camelot by Lerner.
Matt Ford singing from Camelot by Lerner.